This is why we're here, Café. In Deutsch das Café am Rande der Welt.
Yeah, it's such a great title they came up with, the Café at the Edge of the World.
Yeah.
I love that title.
But it was difficult for you to find a publisher for the book. You wrote the book and then,
Yeah, so this was sort of an interesting little life experience too, in that I had this stream of conscious typing experience that lasted for 21 days, which is how the book came to be. I literally sat down at a desk, started typing, and it just flowed.
3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Yeah,
okay, wow.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then at the end of that, I printed it out, put it on a shelf, and it looked like a book, it felt like a book. And because of my consulting experience, this ability to within 72 hours get super smart about something, I was like, well, it looks like a book, it feels like a book, maybe I should turn it into a book, right? So literally within 3 days, I knew, okay, there's 3 ways to turn it into a book. I either sell it to a publisher, I do what was called, I think print on demand back then or something like that, or I start a publishing company, right? Okay, I know how to start a company, I'll start a company, right? And so I think it was only like 8-10 weeks after that, something like that, I had it up on Amazon. I was already selling books. And I was so completely clueless about what I was doing, right? But sometimes that's a good thing. And so I was like, oh, how big should the book be? I took my favorite book off the bookshelf, this little book called Illusions. I measured it with a ruler. I was like, all right, 7.25 by 4.5, perfect, right? I measured the margin. Hey, 1/2-inch margins. We'll make mine 1/2-inch margins. and I guess looking back now, this is what I love about life's possibilities, right? You heard me talking yesterday about it's not about how do I do it, it's about who, right? Who's already published a book? Well, what can I learn from them? How can I accelerate this process, right? So yeah, I did that, and then after 1 year, I had taken orders with a horrible website that I designed myself that was absolutely abysmal. I had taken orders from 24 different countries because word of mouth was somehow spreading.
Wow.
I had no idea where people were learning about this. And then I got picked up by an agent out of New York, and that's what started to spread it internationally. And story now we're in 41 languages, so yeah. And I ended up taking it back. I'm an entrepreneur as well, so I ended up taking the rights back, and so now I do it on my own in the States, but I have unbelievable relationships in other countries.
So this is so fantastic because I see some parallels between us.
Yeah.
My first book I published myself as well because I couldn't find a publisher.
Yeah.
I was rejected by I think 35 publishers, and
Yeah.
I printed it myself. It was one of the last money I had at that time, and I put it into the book, and then I put it to Amazon and all that, and suddenly people started ordering the book, and it was a fantastic experience. And I went to the book fair. And I went to the publishers. You want to publish my book? Want to publish?
Yeah.
And then on the 4th day, the last, they said, okay, let's try. And 1 year after that, it was one of the most successful books at this publisher. And so I see the parallel. You start, you don't know if you are successful.
Yeah.
You go there and you go the whole way, and you love your product because this is what I did at that time. I feel when you talk about it, I loved every single word of what I wrote.
Yeah, nobody's gonna love it like you do, right? It's your baby. And so that, and I think this is a great point to people who have a creative dream, a creative vision, or have even any of their big 5 for life that they're looking to do, see, or experience. People are going to tell you no, right? And it's for a variety of reasons. It's either their own insecurities, or maybe it's just a bad fit for them. But I bet you I have gotten over 200 rejections from publishers around the world. 200. Right? 200. I got a rejection letter when the book was already on the bestseller list. Somebody had not gotten around to it, and over the course of a year later, they're like going through books, and they're like, I don't think anybody's gonna buy this. It's already on the bestseller list, right? So my point is that you can't take it personal. You just have to keep moving forward. Constructive criticism is great, right? I mean, it's irrational to just get out there with a crummy product and think, no, it's better than anything you've ever seen before. But if you're getting great feedback from your readers and they're telling you there's something really special here, don't get too upset because other people are telling you no. It doesn't matter.
It was very strange at that time. My journey, suddenly there was orders coming from all over the German area, from Austria, from Vienna, from Kiel, and I said, how did that book get there?
I know. Well, that is the wonderful energy that books have. I can't tell you the amount of times people have said to me, I was walking through the bookstore and it fell off the shelf in front of me. Or I was walking to the bookstore, I picked it up off the table, and then I just couldn't put it down. I don't know why I couldn't put it down, right? So I think what's cool is that there is this energetic thing where the book is finding the reader, not always that the reader is finding the book. And if you have a story inside of you and you don't release it, that can never happen, right? So you had the courage to turn it into a book and see what happens.
Wow, I love that. And then a new existence as an author was born. So you started writing, I think, how many books? Six, seven?
I've written 10 now.
10,
yeah,
okay,
and I have a
cool.
third cafe book coming out in October, so that'll be released at the Frankfurt Book Fair.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow,
super psyched about that. Yeah.
Wow. So can you tell us something about the Big Five for Life?
Yeah.
Which is a different book?
The Genesis. So this is a book that I wrote. I've written 2 in that series. One is, the first title is The Big Five for Life, and then the sequel is The Big Five for Life Continued. The genesis of that book was to say, what would the world look like in the eyes of the most unbelievable leader in the world? And so I wrote it from that perspective, and I set the context in the opening page that the main character, who we're going to get to know, Thomas, is dying.
Why is he dying?
Yeah, so he's 55 years old, and we learn in the opening that he's dying of a brain tumor. And then over the course of the 240 pages, we come to love this man and everything he stands for and the type of human he's chosen to be and the way he treats his people and the way he works with his customers. And then he dies, and it's an emotional moment, as we were talking about earlier. But I wrote it in that context because I think one of the mistakes we sometimes make in our lives is it's going so fast and so much is going on that we forget it's not going to last forever. And this concept of mortality is good to understand and think about. Like we talked about earlier, you get 28,900 days statistically. Every one of those days is precious, but only if we sort of apply preciousness to it. And I was super psyched about the book. That one also got rejected by countless publishers. But it has been the #1 best-selling leadership and self-development book in Germany now for over 5.5 years on Amazon. Yeah. And that's consecutive. It's never fallen off of #1.
It's incredible.
I mean,
the story is incredible. Okay, so he dies at the end of the book, but he touched very many lives in a positive way. He creates a culture. Of the Big Five for Life. What is this culture? What does it mean?
The very short version of what the Big Five for Life concept is it's identifying the 5 things that you most want to do, see, or experience in your lifetime before you die. The 5 things that if you did so or experience them, that you could say that your life was a success by your own definition of success. And this is not something we learn in school. You learn to read, you learn to write, you learn arithmetic, all great stuff. At the same time, what tends to be missing in our everyday lives is this certainty about this is actually the direction I want my life to go. This is what I want to fill my life with. And when you know your Big Five for Life, if you have the courage to start allocating your time, your energy, your resources, financial and otherwise, towards these Big Five for Life, you find that life takes on a whole new flavor, a whole new feeling, and you feel much more fulfilled and happy. So, in the context of leadership, it's allowing yourself as a leader to not just treat the people who work for you as peons, but to see them as a human being, right? And to know what their Big Five for Life are and to ask the question, if we work collaboratively so that this is your job, in what way is that going to actually enable you to get paid to fulfill your Big Five for Life? And if it's not, I don't want to hire you, or I don't want to hire you for that job. Right? And that is a whole different paradigm than I think work historically has been. But we're seeing more and more of this. And the reason we're seeing more of it is because the best and the brightest people, and I've met some amazing people in your company, right? And they are spectacularly talented, and they are outgoing, and they are personable, and wicked smart, and
are you
very
talking
good.
About my company?
Yes.
Yeah.
And very good at what they do.
Everybody here in my company, in our company.
Yes.
We love our company. We love our team.
Yes.
Did you feel that?
I felt that from the very first person I talked to,
great.
which theoretically could have been an anomaly, but it wasn't. It was everybody I talked to.
It means a lot to me that you say that.
Yes.
It really means a lot to me.
And so what that tells me is that within this organization, you all look at each other not just as coworkers, not as boss-employee, but you look at each other as human beings working towards some collective goals. Ideally, I know every company has identified the company's Big Five for Life and the PFE, the purpose for existing. Why is the company existing, right? and that people's personal Big Five for life are intertwined and connected to the companies. And that is what makes it such a great place to work. People treat each other as human beings. They see each other as authentically human. And that's why it works so well. And the coolest thing about this is what I love. The best and the brightest, which is where I started this, the best and the brightest refuse to work in environments other than that.
Yeah.
Right? So what ends up happening is the top companies who employ this type of philosophy because they want to, not because it's the flavor of the day, but because they want to, they end up getting the best and the best talent. Well, of course, if you have the best of the best talent, it's like stacking your sports team with all the all-stars. You're going to win.
That's great. That's it. Yeah.
And so these companies, your company is going to win and be more successful. And I love that because I like it when the good guys and good girls win, right?
You know what? At the beginning of the interview, you told me about your job, your consultant job, and you quit that job. And I meet so many people who stay in that job, and then just life goes on, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and they lose their passion, they lose their meaning of life. They get getting cynical. They are waiting for something to happen, and well, life's just full of routine and of the question, was that all?
Yeah, they're waiting to retire until they get their pension.
Yeah.
I had a guy tell me one time, I've only got 7. I said, we were talking about something and he was unhappy about his job. And I said, oh, how long you been there? I don't know, 20 some years. Are you going to stay? Like, to me, it was like, why aren't you leaving and doing something else, right? But he was like, oh yeah, I've only got 7 more years until my pension kicks in. I was like, 7 more years, like that is a long time, right? And again, everybody should do whatever they feel like. So if that was the right decision in his mind, perfect, do that, right? Yeah. But I think it's awesome to realize it doesn't have to be like that. And especially when you're young and just starting your career, right? Why not start in a place that's awesome?
Tell me something about your concept of life, of the days of life being like a museum.
Yeah, so this is something I introduced in the Big Five for Life book, this concept of museum day. And the idea is that what if we were to think of our life in this context, that every moment of our life was recorded. The things we did, the things we saw, the things we said. And at the end of our life, a museum is built to show our life. And so, if 80% of your time was like this guy spent at a job that he hated, then literally that would be 80% of your museum. Videos, kiosks, pictures, everything, right? And let's say he loved hiking or playing softball with his kids, right? But he was always at work he hated, and so he only spent 2% of his life on the things that he loved. Then all you get in your museum is just a few pictures of that. And then imagine on the next level that this is actually the way you are going to spend all of eternity, is the tour guide for your own museum, right? And what I love about this concept is the ways that it enables people to think in a totally different paradigm about their life, right? Because they start to look at the wings of their museum and say, oh my gosh, like I would hate to spend an hour, let alone a lifetime, let alone eternity in that wing, right? And so my goal is always to try and help people move their life in the direction they want to go. Ideally through something that, as you said, is somewhat short, easy to understand, and yet life-changing in concept. And I'm happy to say that I think Museum Day is one of the ones that really checks the boxes on that.
You seem to me like a very, well, how do you say? Well, a person who knows who you are. You know who you are. From the very moment I saw you yesterday, you are friendly, you are kind, you are cool, you know what you do, you're clear, you're okay. Is there anything in your life? Is there anything that you need to overcome, or what you are afraid of, or what is your next step of personal development?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I am far, far from my own version of what I would like to be as a human being. I'm constantly in a state of growth for the metrics that I set for myself, let alone anybody else's metrics. I will say that the certainty with which I can be authentically myself now is drastically different than who I used to be. I used to be very uncomfortable in my own skin. I had confidence in certain aspects of my life because I was a very good athlete. I knew that I was capable of high academic success with the way that I could understand concepts. but I had a very low self-esteem. I had a very low perception of myself as a human being and perhaps my role in it as the human experience goes. And that has changed over time. It's something that I've been able to grow into. And I think the reason I've been able to grow into it is because I was busy trying to fulfill other people's versions of what I should be like. And when I finally allowed myself to be me and to do the things that I liked to do and was good at, and to let go of the fears, we talk about that experience on the train, I could never be the person I am now. I could not have walked on stage yesterday with 15,000 people, and I'm the guy on stage after President Barack Obama if I still had low self-esteem and a low perception of my value to add. Right?
And is there any goal you didn't achieve yet? I think you wanted to write a song. You wanted to be
Yeah. So number 5 on my Big 5 for Life list is to write a song that breaks the top 10 of the pop charts. Yeah, and it's funny because people ask me all the time about this. I'm like, how's it going, right? And it's not that I am not passionate about it. I am. I just continually get the sense that when it's the right time, it's the right time. And I do a lot of creative work with words, as you know. Yeah. And I've written other stuff which is really funny, I think, song-wise, but it's not that song. But I'm working on the movie deal for Das Cafe.
Okay, wow.
And so a lot of people have been like, dude, this is the time for the song. Put it in the movie, right? Yeah. And I may do that. So I have lots of really good ideas about what it could be. But I will tell you an amazing story about that. So I was doing an interview with a radio personality here in Germany, and she and I were bantering back and forth, having a great time, just like you and I are. And she was like, where's the song, right? And she was a DJ, and she said, if you had that song right now, I would put it on the air in the next 30 minutes. And I thought this is such a great example of the power of the Big 5 for life and about allowing yourself to be authentic, because how many artists would love to get their song on radio even one time? I mean, less now because they're streaming, but back in the day when it was just pure radio, right? And here this woman was willing to do that for me just because she knew that it was one of the things that most mattered to me. And this is important because I used to have a hard time asking people for help, right? When people needed help, I wanted to do that. But when it came time to ask for help, I really struggled with that. And so this was such a great example that other people want to help you, especially when it's fulfilling one of your Big 5 for life. So don't hesitate to ask. Like, allow yourself to get out there and ask.
To ask and to show your Big 5 for life.
Totally.
To be clear who you are, who you want to be, what you want to achieve, and tell people. And then suddenly doors open and say, hey, come in here.
Yeah, absolutely. And this goes to people who are looking to change companies and work for different jobs, right? So like we were talking about, people love working in this company, and so people sometimes come to me and they're like, John, like, I want to change jobs. Can you help me find a job? I'm like, absolutely not. All right, absolutely not. And they're like, why? Like, you like to help people. And I'm like, I do like to help people, but I'm not going to help you find a job, right? Yeah. You tell me what you're excited about in life. You tell me what your Big 5 for life are. I will help you find a way to get paid for doing that, but I will not help you find a job.
Great.
Right? Yeah.
John, we're just talking almost 1 hour. Could go on forever.
I know, we're just starting to scrape the surface. There's so much good things to talk about.
So, okay. If I would invite you to come back one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. My goal is to make a difference in the lives of other human beings in a positive way.
Our goal is to grow more, bigger, become a bigger platform, reach more people, and.
I don't think of it in terms of volume necessarily, because I think, as a perfect example, some of the one-on-one conversations I had yesterday at the event with people were every bit as important to me as having the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, who will see this video, right? So I do my very best to remain focused on just making a difference in the lives of others without getting caught up in the size of the platform or whatever. Mm-hmm. But if we have an opportunity to sit together again and talk, I would love to do that.
The size of the platform is very interesting because I don't know how it is in the USA, but in Germany, personal development is many people are interested in it, but they need to find the platform. Yeah. They need to find the way in. This is why we are so much pushing it, and why we want to grow, because we want to open as many doors as possible to people who don't know yet that we exist. So therefore, yesterday, for example, I think half of the audience was never at a Gedankentanken event before, and they came because of Barack Obama.
Right.
But they enjoyed the rest as well. They
Sure.
said, wow, this is interesting, that was cool, or what he told us, I must think about it. So, and this is what we want to achieve. So we want to spread good Gedanken, good thoughts into the world.
Yeah, that's great. And you have some great platforms to do it. You do it with your big live events, you do it with videos like this. And I think that, again, is the spirit of everything that I teach, is allowing everybody to find the way in which they want to be fantastic at what they do. Because for someone else, honestly, it could be that they write poetry and they put it up on their blog post and they have 12 followers and they're happy with that. And the 12 followers are happy with that. And that's awesome because that's what they wanted to do, right? So you have passion about yours and the way in which you want to do it, fantastic. Everybody else has their own different version, and we all can appreciate and endorse each other, and that's phenomenal.
Wow. And now you tell me that you could imagine to come back.
Yeah, totally. I absolutely love to. Love to.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Ja.
Und wenn ihr jetzt also immer noch nicht den Impuls habt oder noch nicht ganz versteht hier, warum das so wichtig ist, bitte Leute, geht in den nächsten Buchladen. Schaut euch das an. Kaffee am Rande der Welt, Big Five for Life. Schaut euch Johns Bücher an, geht rein in die Geschichten, guckt euch das an. Ich verspreche euch, das macht was mit euch. Bedanke mich für eure Aufmerksamkeit. Wir sehen uns bald wieder bei Gedankentanken.